Happy New Year and welcome to Getaway Day, episode 42. My name is Gautam. His name is Mason. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit outside of the norm. Usually on this podcast, we're pretty realistic with some of the things we say, at least we try to be. Um, most of the things we say are based in fact or based on something that we might have seen in a game
or based
seen in
on
the
things that Mason thinks are true and Gotham corrects him later.
But at least you're going for reality
Yeah.
in your things you say. But today we're gonna let our imaginations run wild, and we're gonna take all the players around MLB who have 5 or more years left on their contracts, not including the players that recently signed this offseason, because we've talked about them a lot, and we're gonna reassign them teams around the league for various reasons. They could be anything really, whatever we're feeling like. So we're gonna go through those players, and hopefully that'll get some interesting discussion started. Before we get started, if you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Make sure you let us know your thoughts through the YouTube comments, leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or on Twitter and Facebook at Getaway Day Pod. Ready to get started, Mason?
I am ready.
Okay. The first player on our list here is a player on your favorite team, and that's Nolan Arenado. He signed through 2027, and he's got 179 million left on his deal. Where would you like to see Nolan Arenado outside of St. Louis? Obviously, probably nowhere, but
well, clearly Colorado, right?
Yeah.
No, so Arenado is one of those guys that I think he's a really good fit with a lot of teams. I mean, he's the best defensive third baseman in baseball. I'm not really sure that's an arguable point, is it? Just defensively.
Matt Chapman could make the case for it, but obviously Arenado's done it a lot longer than he has.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good point. Chapman defensively is really good. Arenado has the edge over Chapman when it comes to offense. So he's a guy that you want on your team pretty much no matter what. There's a reason he got a $282 million contract. Is that right?
Yeah, a lot of money, a lot of years.
And then got extended another year when he was traded to St. Louis. So he's one of those guys that I don't see him going to a team like the Orioles or the Pirates in any world. So I started looking at it from the standpoint of what good teams could stand from either an upgrade at third or an upgrade at third, assuming that there's maybe a move. And I landed on the Atlanta Braves. So if the Atlanta Braves, if they lose Freddie Freeman this year, you've now got an opening at first base. Austin Riley can move to first base. Arenado slots in at third, and that makes it probably the best infield in Major League Baseball defensively, if not both defensively and offensively. With Dansbert Swanson, you got Ozzie Albies, you got Austin Riley and Nolan Arenado, and then Travis d'Arnaud is a solid catcher too. So
yeah, and I like that because it definitely fits what the Braves were doing this year, where they had all their infielders playing like over 155 games, and Arenado is just like that. He's a guy that's in the lineup every single day, rarely takes a day off if ever.
Yeah, he played 157 out of 162 games last year. And I think the only season that he did not play...
probably 2020, even then he played most of the games.
He played 48 of 60. The only season where he did not play more than 5/6 of the season was 2014 when he played 111. So like he's been a very... very durable player. So I think he's a perfect fit for the Atlanta Braves, and his personality kind of goes with it too. Like, and just think of Acuna and Arenado in the same lineup. That would be amazing.
I like that. Yeah. So. Mine is quite a bit different than yours. I'm going to send Arenado to Oakland, actually, for one specific reason. The reason being, I know they have Chapman, so this is obviously a hypothetical
They'll
situation.
trade Chapman as soon as they can when the lockout ends.
But I would love to see Arenado tracking down those foul balls in that huge foul territory in that stadium. That'll be a lot of fun.
Well, I hadn't thought of that. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
Or
because
even
I've
just
seen Chapman do it, and I would love to see Arenado do it as well.
or even just put him anywhere in the AL West so that he plays there, what it'd be 9 times or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like that fit. That one definitely wouldn't be as good for him, but really good for fans.
Yeah, good for me.
So
That's all that matters. Anyways, next guy on the list is Bryce Harper, who is a Philly through 2031, which sounds like a fake year. It's so far away. He's got $263 million left on his deal. I'm gonna take this one first, actually.
all right.
I would love to see Bryce Harper on the Cubs. And the reason is, I mean, it very well could have happened. All the signs were pointing towards Bryce Harper signing with Cubs back in 2019 when he was a free agent. After 2018, the Cubs had a lot of issues with their offense. They needed a guy that could bolster it. And Bryce seemed very receptive to the idea of coming to Chicago. Then the Cubs proceeded to sign Daniel Descalso as their only move that offseason. And things really didn't go well for the next couple seasons on offense. That
What,
could
you
have
don't
really
love Danny
changed.
D?
I love Danny D, but he was a terrible player for the Cubs. Anyways, yeah, so Harper really could have changed 2019 and 2020 for the Cubs offensively, and it would have been a chance to see Bryce Harper and Chris Bryant in the same lineup. They're good friends, and they're from Las Vegas, and they grew up together and everything. So I think Bryce Harper also would have been very well received by Cubs fans, just for the amazing player that he is, and also his kind of fiery personality. So
I can see that. I like that pick. I maybe not with the current outlook of the Cubs, but in general, that would be a really good landing spot for him. Chicago, I think, kind of deserves to have a premier player at pretty much all times. I mean, they've they've had one basically the entire time that we've been alive, from Sammy Sosa to then Derek Lee. I don't, maybe you wouldn't call him premier, but I think he was really, really good, to
yeah,
Anthony Rizzo. So now they're kind of lacking in that category unless you consider Contreras. So, and Contreras with only 1 year left, I think Harper would be a really good move there. I put Bryce Harper on what I like to think of as the Bryce Harper of baseball teams. They are consistently underrated. Granted, now I don't think they're underrated anymore. I think people have figured them out, and I think this year people figured out Bryce Harper as well. And that would be the Detroit Tigers. I think the Tigers are a few key pieces away from being incredibly competitive incredibly quickly, with guys like Torkelson and Riley Green coming up probably this year. That shores up basically your entire infield. I think first base, you're still putting out like maybe Jonathan Scope. Does that sound right?
yeah.
Which you could definitely upgrade over Scope, but he's a solid player. Um, but their outfield really, really lacks now. Javi shored up the shortstop position there, and I think Bryce Harper manning right and Riley Green in either left or center would be really, really good for that team.
Yeah, I'm not sure Bryce would love playing in Detroit compared to Citizens Bank Ballpark.
I mean, probably
Uh,
not. Who would?
but yeah, I think the Tigers fans would be very happy about that. And yeah, that definitely makes sense with their needs currently. Okay, moving along. Next player has played on two teams during his current contract that's still ongoing. It was a 13-year deal when he signed it with Miami. Now he's on the Yankees. That's Giancarlo Stanton, who is signed through 2027 with $179 million left. So he's going to be Yankee for a while. But if he was not on the Yankees, where would you like to see him?
All right, so this one is going to be my most kind of unrealistic so far, and possibly even of my entire list of players here. Um, I would really, really like to see Giancarlo fill the hole left by Nelson Cruz at the end of last season when he became a free agent from Tampa. I think Giancarlo in the Trop would just be really, really fun to watch. Seeing Wander get on base in front of him and Stanton coming up and hitting the roof of the Trop once a game would be
Yeah, I feel
amazing.
like he would have a lot of roof balls.
Yeah.
My pick's actually very similar. It's the Rockies. I just want to see Stanton hit home runs at Coors Field,
That's
500-foot home runs.
that's a good one. I hadn't thought of that. But I think he's definitely not in this list for contract wise, but Aaron Judge would be kind of the same way. I think
Yes,
those guys
indeed.
could match like 550-foot bombs in the regular season in Coors.
Um, the next guy on the list is probably the best player in the league, Mike Trout. He signed through 2030 with the Angels with $334 million left. And the big thing with Trout is that he's never experienced much around him to supplement his amazing play on the Angels. And they've only made the postseason once in his career, and they were bounced out in 3 games. So he's barely had that stage. So I think that Mike Trout would be a great Dodger because he certainly would be surrounded by other star players, and he would get that stage in the postseason. We would get to see him, competing for championships every year, which is what you would expect and what you would love to see from the best player in the league, kind of the face of the league.
Yeah, and he would have a front office that's very willing to spend around him to build a team that would be able to succeed. That's one I had thought about. And then I thought kind of from the standpoint of Mike Trout is more of a quiet guy. He's a really, really big personality in the league, but a really quiet guy. And so I tried to find a fit that was more similar personalities to Trout. And I think I found the perfect fit. And I think he would actually get the success that he needs too in the San Francisco Giants. So the Giants have been historically a juggernaut. All the way back to when they were in New York, they just have always been a storied franchise, and they play like it. They've had here the last couple of years they weren't very good, and then last year they rebounded with a bunch of older players. I realized Trout is on the quote unquote wrong side of 30, so he's not really helping from a youth standpoint, but Trout is an upgrade over literally any player on that Giants team that was really good last year. And so putting him out there, probably not manning center. I think at this point I would probably put him in right, which that's a really complicated right field to play.
That is a tough place to play. Yeah.
So I think that would be really fun to watch him figure out how to play against or play with the wall. He'd be that big bat that they need to anchor the lineup. And it's just kind of the team has the same personality as him, where they're on this biggest stage in the league, probably like the third or fourth biggest franchise as far as like popularity, in like national attention, I think.
Yeah, so they care about baseball a lot, but it's not. They're a little bit more laid back than like a Yankees or a Dodgers.
Yeah, the
And
the
that
media is not always in their face, which I think is good for him, but you still have all the national attention where you can highlight him on a national stage to help grow the game of baseball.
yeah, I like that fit for Trout. The next guy signed a big contract with the Brewers a few years back. It's not looking so good right now because of the recent struggles. Christian Yelich, he signed through 2028 with $182 million left on his deal with the Brewers. The Brewers went out of their norm by actually signing a guy to a really long-term deal. And I mean, I think he's going to bounce back, but he may never be the guy that he was in 2018 and 2019.
Yeah,
Um,
and I mean, heck, a shattered patella will tend to do that. I think that's probably a really hard one to come back from, just because
Probably,
your
yeah.
leg never really gets back to where it was before. So the stolen bases are down, his range is down on the outfield. it's probably more of a mental thing on the hitting, but like that one injury could have, I'm not saying it did, but it could have caused everything that we're seeing. So
There's that, and there's also his back issues that have been cropping up from time to time. That may be a chronic thing that he's never going to be able to fully shake, and that could
yeah,
slow him down as well.
similar to Prince Fielder when he went down to Texas. So,
Yeah.
but
So Yelich, um, I think a lot of teams would like to have Yelich. Maybe not on this contract specifically. One team that I picked out that I thought would be fun would be the Red Sox because Yelich is a really good all fields hitter. So playing in Boston, I feel like he hit a ton of balls off that green monster in left field, and
and he
kind of be
definitely make use of the pesky pole.
absolutely. So I think yeah, he could take advantage of that ballpark because he can basically hit the ball anywhere around the park, and it's another good place to hit, just like Milwaukee is.
Yeah, I like that pick. I kind of came at it from a similar standpoint uh where is the best ballpark for a lefty power hitter to have a bounce back season? Just off the top of your
Uh,
head.
well, I'm thinking probably like New York, but another one that apparently is really good for left-handed power is Chicago, the White Sox, which I was not aware of
How about
until
Great
recently.
American Ballpark with the home run power alley into right field?
Yeah, that would work.
I think that he takes Nick Castellanos' spot out in right field in Cincinnati. And I think that gives you a superstar to basically replace Joey Votto when he retires, gives him that right field power alley where he can make the most out of the power that he has. Um, and the Reds deserve something good. Plus, that lineup is really, really pretty good if you look at it on paper. And so adding him to that, assuming he bounces back from his kind of poor 2020, 2021 seasons, I think it's a perfect fit. Now, do I want to see him stay in the NL Central? Absolutely not.
We've seen enough of that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I really like that fit.
We'll we'll never forget like 2018 when or 2019 I think when just every day Yelich hit another home run. Yelich hit
Oh
another home
God,
run.
wasn't it like 8 straight games against the Cardinals that he hit a home run
It
to
was
to
something
begin the
absolutely
season?
absurd. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it was every single game that we played in Milwaukee, he hit a home run. Every game they played in Busch, he did not. So
Yeah. Okay, our next guy is a pitcher. The only pitcher that we're going to talk about today, and that's Garrett Cole, who signed through
he's
2028.
not the only starting pitcher we're going to talk about. Forgot about that. We have McCullers.
Oh, yeah. So we'll talk about Cole and McCullers, but Cole first. And he is pretty much, we were talking about this before the show. He's one of the only pitchers that we'd really feel comfortable giving such a long contract to. This year we saw Kevin Gausman and Robbie Ray get 5-year deals. And even at the end of those deals, we really wouldn't expect them to be the pitchers they are today. With Cole, it feels like he is a machine. He's going to be unstoppable even when he's old.
He
And
just gives you really big Scherzer Verlander vibes.
absolutely, yeah, this guy's on the Hall of Fame track for sure. And he's really the perfect Yankee. So he was really tough for me to place anywhere else because I like the Pirates Cole. That just feels like a lifetime ago. Like
I
it.
completely forgot about Pirates Cole, not going to lie.
There you go. Yeah,
Like now that you say that, I remember a lot of
he
it,
he had
but
uh, he had facial hair and everything.
he had facial hair in Houston too.
Yeah, he did. But he was only with Houston for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I put Garrett Cole in Detroit, and the reason is because he's an amazing pitcher. Even though he's pitched most of his career in, well, not most of his career, but he's pitched a good amount of his career in very hitter friendly parks in Houston and now in New York. Pittsburgh was pretty pitcher friendly, but putting him in a place like Detroit, I feel like he could put up DeGrom kind of numbers with all those fly balls that are going to just die on the warning track in that humongous center field. Cole has kind of struggled. He hasn't really struggled, but His one weak point is that he has given up a lot of home runs in his career, and that is totally exacerbated in Yankee Stadium. So playing in Comerica Park, he would give up way less homers, and he would have a 150 ERA. Who knows?
Your answer is way better than mine. I
Okay.
like yours. So I think that it's finally time that we pay Boston back for the whole curse of the Bambino thing. I think we trade Garrett Cole to Boston, let him pitch for a season, and then convert him to a power hitter.
What's the trade? Jackie Bradley Jr. That's it.
No, it would have to be someone way worse than that.
Way worse than Jackie Bradley Jr. Pretty much
Yes.
the worst qualified hitter in 2021.
Yeah, who's worse? Let's find someone worse. How about we trade Rob Refsnyder?
Oh, yeah, that'd be a new curse of the Cole.
But no, I really think that he does get bit by the home run bug quite a bit, and that's not going to change if he goes into Boston. Because I mean, with the monster, with the pesky pole, really the only way to avoid giving up home runs in Boston is if you only give up solid contact to dead center field. And even then, if you give up solid enough contact to guys that you would be facing a lot, like Judge, like Stanton, like Vladdy, like well, no, that was still Stanton. I just traded him to the Rays. I was gonna say, who did I put on the Rays? You'd be facing that type of power, which could easily put it out in dead center too. But Boston could really, really use some help in their starting rotation, especially after losing Erod. And Garrett Cole being such an elite pitcher, even if he's given up home runs, I think he'll still be fine. And let's pay back the curse of the Bambino and curse the Yankees.
Yeah, when you think about it, that division, that is not a friendly place to pitch.
It never has been.
Because just all the ballparks. We got Boston, New York, and Toronto, and
Dunedin.
Baltimore, and Dunedin. Like they're all super rabbit ball parks, and then the hitters are in that park that you named a couple of them, but you got great hitters.
Wander when he matures. Oh,
Absolutely,
goodness.
yeah. So it's a wonder that Cole does what he does, but I guess that's just a testament to how good he is.
Yeah.
The next guy is another pitcher, and that's Lance McCullers, who recently signed this extension through 2026 with the Astros. Where would you like to see McCullers?
I'll give you one guess.
One guess.
This one should be very, very obvious.
I actually don't know. Cardinals?
Oh, yeah. The Cardinals really need help in the rotation. I mean, it doesn't really seem like it. It seems like it at first glance, not at second glance, and then at third glance, you're like, ooh. The Cardinals really need some help at starting pitching. I mean, Adam Wainwright's in his final season before he retires. Jack Flaherty is really, 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 really good. He dealt with injuries last year, and he's kind of dealt with injuries here and there throughout the last couple. Everywhere in between, then you start getting a little bit unsure about the rotation. I mean, Dakota Hudson's coming back off of Tommy John. Last year, we were throwing out John Lester and Jay Happ and Wade LeBlanc for about half the season. And they were all really good for the Cardinals, but we need something to shore that up. Miles Michaelis is not as good as he was when he first came back into the U.S. And Lance McCullers is such a good pitcher that he would easily be number one, number two, somewhere in there. Him and Flaherty would essentially be co-aces. And it would do a lot to shore up that rotation. Plus, he just really feels to me like the type of player that the Cardinals would go after. So.
Yeah, that one definitely makes a lot of sense. My reason is not quite as logical. The reason, the team I'm going to pick is the Padres. And the reason is because Lance McCullers, Sr., pitched for the Padres.
I almost did that with Texas.
So, yeah. So, Lance McCullers pitched from 1985 to 1992. he had a 3.25 career ERA, including his best season with the Padres in '86, where he had a 2.78 ERA. So Lance McCullers was a pretty solid pitcher. I think the son is actually even better, and um, it would just be probably cool to live in San Diego. So I feel like Lance would like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I mean, to be honest, the Padres could use some depth at starting pitching as well.
Who couldn't
Um,
use some depth at starting pitching? And who couldn't use a pitcher like McCullers?
yeah, well, yes, but I'm just thinking specifically after last year and everything that happened with the rotation with San Diego, I would be really, really, really cautious and kind of overprotective of my rotation there. I mean, they already have like 6 guys who are trying to take 5 spots. Bring in McCullers, make it 7. You're
Yeah, why
gonna
not?
need them by about week 3. So
Yeah. And one other thing that I just remembered on McCullers is he actually was hurt there in the playoffs, and he
yeah,
missed the World Series and the championship series, I believe.
I can't remember what
So
his
it
he got
was
hurt
it was
in
like
the
a
championship
four,
series, I think. But what was his
I think he
injury?
got I think it was like a forearm thing, and I haven't heard anything about whether he's okay or not, but hopefully he can come back strong in this first year of his extension, which will start in 2022. The next guy signed his contract extension, or I guess not a contract extension, just a new contract before the 2021 season. That was DJ LeMahieu. This was a little bit of a uh,
Are we skipping Lindor?
puzzling. Oh, we'll come back to him.
All right,
Um,
just want to make sure we don't
D-
forget him.
DJ LeMahieu, he signed for 6 years with the Yankees. He's got 5 years left, 75 million. They kind of spread this deal out because I guess he just wanted the security of um, a contract for 6 years, which is obviously nice to have. And he had a really down season in 2021 where he did not really hit for average. He lost a lot of the power that he had showed in New York the prior seasons. I think there. I think he's definitely going to bounce back batting average wise. He's always done that throughout his career, and that's why I wanted to put him on the Marlins because the Marlins are one of the worst teams in the league at striking out. I think they were second this year, and he's a guy that always puts the bat on the ball, and that would be a good approach for a lot of their young hitters like Jazz Chisholm, Jesus Sanchez, guys like that who have issues with the strikeouts. Maybe he could impart some wisdom to them and help them get their team rate down and kind of be a table setter for them as he has been for the Yankees.
Yeah, I can see that. And it's not a hitter's friendly park either. It's a pitcher's friendly park. It's roughly the same dimensions as Busch Stadium. I think there's only like one portion of the field that's a little different. And so the contact tool there is probably more important than power on a guy like DJ because like he had power, but it wasn't really the thing he was known for. And so him being able to spread the ball and hit it into the gaps would be really beneficial there in Lone Depot. So um, I put LeMahieu on the other coast, actually. So I was texting you before we started recording about the Angels shortstop situation for this year, and I realize he's not going to fix it, but they're putting Tyler Wade at short, which is not, or currently, that's he's who's slated in there. I don't like that one bit. And we need to figure out something that we can do with that infield to make that not happen. My thought is let's bring DJ LeMahieu to the Angels, put him at second base. That frees up David Fletcher, who is really, really good defensively, to learn in the next 2 months, 2.5 maybe, not in a team facility because of the lockout, to learn how to play shortstop. And David Fletcher honestly is not ideal either because his contact tool was not, or he wasn't making nearly as much contact last year as he usually does. His
He was
strikeout
making
rate
the
went up,
contact. He was just like
striking out a lot.
not doing any. He was not doing anything with that contact. I think he had one barrel the entire season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least put him at short and make him a defensive shortstop that can't hit and put DJ in at second. And it at least is better than putting in Tyler Wade and David Fletcher. So
Yeah, and that middle infield would challenge the Cubs' current middle infield of Horner and Madrigal for the contactiest middle infield in the league.
contactiest defensive middle infield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, they need Carlos Correa. Let's be honest, they need him more than any other team needs him.
I mean, heck, they need Carlos Correa, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Clayton
Another Mike
Kershaw,
Trout.
another Mike Trout. They need Joe
Yeah,
Adell to break out. Um, Jared
it's
Walsh
a
to keep being good. Brandon Marsh to finish breaking out, and a catcher of some kind.
it's a little bit of a laundry list. It's long.
Yeah. What? Hold on. What was my? Oh no, that I had a list of the needs for all the teams, and a couple of them that had just too many needs. I put some funny comments. I thought the Angels was one of them, but it was not, unfortunately.
Okay, moving on. The next guy, as I was putting this list together, I didn't realize that his extension is only gonna kick in starting this season. That's Francisco Lindor, who signed the biggest shortstop contract ever before 2021, and he signed through 2031 with $341 million. He had his worst career season in 2021. He dealt with a little bit of injuries, kind of made a bounce back in the second half. I think he's a better player than he showed with the Mets. Um, and he's a great personality on and off the field. So, I mean, I think the Mets are going to be fine with that contract overall. What's another team where Lindor would look good?
I like Lindor in Houston as a replacement for Carlos Correa because Correa is not coming back. Lindor is great defensively. He's probably the guy that most rivals Carlos Correa defensively at shortstop. Offensively, he had a down year last year, but he's a really, really good offensive shortstop. And I think with the Crawford boxes over in left field, him being a right-handed hitter, he could benefit from, or he could take advantage of those, get his power numbers up a little bit there at Minute Maid, and basically take what was probably the best infield in the league with Bregman, Correa, Altuve, and Yuli, and keep it in its number one spot, but just swapping out Correa for Lindor.
Yeah, that would work for sure. Um, the spot I'm putting him in is specifically because this team has been lacking a shortstop for so long, and that's the Reds. A team that we're constantly flummoxed by and their various decisions that they've made with that position over the last few years. I think I saw somewhere that when Eugenio Suarez played shortstop this season, Luis Castillo had like a 7 ERA. Obviously, that was not all on Suarez, but like that's pretty bad. And um, he would be a great bat for their lineup and give them the defense that they've been missing big time in the last few years. They've kind of pieced together their roster in a very weird way recently with guys like Mustakas and Suarez and other guys that don't really seem to fit very well together. Lindor, you can plug him in at shortstop every day, and he's going to give you very amazing defense there.
So I was just looking up Castillo's numbers here, just to kind of put a little bit there with your statement. So in March through May, which I think is predominantly when they were having Eugenio play short, he had a 6.29 in March and April and an 8.04 in May. His FIPS for those months were 5.39 in March and April, so still bad, but not quite as bad. And then a 4.31 compared to an 8 ERA in May. So there might be something to that.
Yeah, like the ground ball guy getting probably a lot of ground balls around the shortstop area, and
Yeah.
a lot of those got
And then
through.
Moose was playing second, wasn't he?
Uh,
At that
Was he?
point in time,
Moose might have been playing third at that time.
was he? So who would have been at second base?
Jonathan India.
Oh shoot, yeah, no, my bad. That makes sense. Um, yeah, Castillo could benefit from having a
Yeah,
actual
he
shortstop
needs
at the
defense.
shortstop
Yeah,
position. They do have Jose Barrero though,
they do. So
so
that'll be hopefully good for them. All right.
oh
The next
the one
guy.
the one other thing about Lindor though is he's actually been rumored to go to the Reds like each of the last like 4 years in a trade.
Yeah, true.
So
He knows Ohio pretty well.
yeah. All right, who we got
Um,
next?
Next guy, he got traded by the Red Sox to the Dodgers. That's Mookie Bett, and he signed a monster contract extension through 2032. Um, and he's got 342 million on that left.
If I'm not mistaken, he is the second. He has maybe the contract that goes like the second furthest in time in all of Major League Baseball. I don't remember where Wander's ends, what year. It's like 2034 or something, maybe. Um,
Yeah, probably around there, and then with Tatis as
yeah,
well.
yeah. So I guess that puts Mookie at like the guy or the third most like sure where he's gonna be for the longest amount of time. I'm not sure what the words for that are. That's not a really easy thing to describe. Wow.
The furthest in the future.
Yeah, he's locked down the longest, the third longest. There we go. That's the words.
Yes. So where can you imagine Mookie Betts playing in 2032?
So honestly, I can't really think of a better fit for Mookie Betts than the Red Sox and the Dodgers. So I tried my best. And I'm actually putting him on this iteration of the San Diego Padres. Right field right now for the Padres is manned by
Will Myers?
Will Myers. Who's better,
Oh God.
Will Myers or Mookie Betts?
Is that a trick question? I don't think it is, but
It's not. Who would you rather send to like the Lithuanian Baseball League? Will Myers or Mookie Betts?
Yeah, Will Myers has run his course. He's got to go.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that still leaves a big hole with Hosmer at first, but it shores up one of the two quote unquote questionable positions in the Padres lineup. I also don't remember who's in left field now that Tommy Pham's a free agent, but
Yeah.
they could definitely use some shoring up of the outfield. It's a really good young team that I think he would be a great part of that core for the really, really long time that they're all locked down. I mean, we're going to get to him in a few minutes here, but with Tatis locked down through 34, Machado through 28, Mookie through 32, I just think those three would make an amazing young core.
Yeah. I tried to help one of the worst franchises in MLB by giving them a bona fide superstar, and
The
that's
Cubs?
the Orioles.
Oh, my bad.
I'd be fine with that. But I'm gonna put Mookie in Baltimore because he would be, their franchise player, and um, I can't think of a better player you would want to build your team around for a rebuilding club because I mean, they've got a lot of promising young players coming up and some that have kind of made their breakouts, but they don't really have that star guy. And you kind of need that when you're building a club.
Yeah, and I mean the outfield for the Orioles is the best part of that team, but you can't pass up on a Mookie Betts, and that opens up the possibility to trade like Anthony Santander for a good young infielder to go with Ryan Mountcastle, and so that one move, if in our magical wonderland happened, that one move could greatly improve the Baltimore Orioles.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll see some of those prospects like Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez this year. And hopefully finally we'll see the Orioles on their way to contention.
Yeah, their contention window's a ways out still, but hopefully we get closer.
Yeah, let's at least get some like nuggets of
Yeah,
good
they
good things to look for.
they get double screwed. They've been the worst franchise in the league, like the worst run franchise in the league for a long time. They're now building up a farm system, so that's good. But they're also in probably the hardest to compete division in baseball.
Yeah, it's just a bad situation all around.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we need to like maybe not relegate teams out of the MLB, but like relegate teams to other divisions to give them a chance to be competitive.
We got to rescue the Orioles and put them in the NL East so they
Okay,
actually have a chance.
let's take the Pirates, the Orioles, and the Diamondbacks and just have them all play each other. And then we get 3 competitive teams to take their place.
You run along and play on your own without the big boys.
So we'll play at the Field of Dreams. You play at the Field of Dreams movie set.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Love it. George Springer. He signed through 2026 with the Blue Jays. He had a little bit of off and on season with the Blue Jays in his first year in 2021. When he played, he was great, but staying on the field was a bit of an issue. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to stay as a center fielder through the length of his deal. Um, I think he's a really good player, but um, I'm not sure how he's going to be in 5 years.
Yeah. So with Springer, I don't know why I keep boosting rival NL Central teams. I really need to quit doing this. It's not good for me. I think Springer would be a really good fit in Milwaukee. So it's a hitter-friendly park. Springer is a guy with a lot of power, and so he'd be able to make the most of that park. Lorenzo Cain is aging and really is probably not around a whole lot longer. I think he's got maybe 1 year left on his deal, 2 years.
I think it's just one more year. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Springer would come in, and they both have big injury red flags on them at this point. So platoon him while Kane's still there, or not platoon, but like when Springer's healthy, play him. When Springer's hurt, play Kane, and then he gets hurt, and Springer's hopefully back.
Then you play Daniel Vogelbach in center field. Why not?
Let's do it. Let's put Vogie in center. Is Vogie still on the Brewers?
No, he's not on the Brewers anymore.
I didn't think so. We could put Rowdy. We'll put Rowdy in center.
Vogie was the perfect Brewer though.
He was.
Beer man. He's the barrel man.
That's kind of mean. It's true, but it's kind of mean. But yeah, and then Springer out there in center with a hopefully resurgent Christian Yelich, assuming that we don't do both trades at the same time. That could be really fun to watch. So,
okay, yeah, I put Springer on the Guardians because they desperately are always in search of an outfielder. I mean, Miles Straw is nice, but you'd rather have a big bopper like George Springer in your outfield because they've really, I don't know, they just seem to cycle through like 3 or 4 different outfielders that don't really pan out. Some of them have some hot stretches here and there, but they haven't really had any sustained outfield success in a while. Like, who's the last good Guardians outfielder?
Kenny Lofton?
Think of Kenny Lofton. Yeah, we have to go way back.
Am I wrong?
I mean, they had
Shin-Soo
Choo,
Michael Brantley,
Grady Sizemore. Yeah, Michael Brantley's probably the last one.
Yeah, but no, I like that fit a lot. And now with Miles Straw there, it would be like a Astros team reunion.
Exactly.
Although I'm not sure, you would probably put Springer in a corner outfield and leave Straw in center, right? As fast as Straw is, and as bad offensively as Straw is, at least give him the premier defensive position.
Though, man, you know he's taking off. He's gonna
well, I mean, he's a Tim LeCastro type guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for him to get on base, but when he does, he's going to steal second, third, and home. So, like,
I know.
You're fine with it. Just teach him to drag bunt really well and just have him do that. So.
All right, moving back out west. Tatis and Machado. These are the two superstars of the Padres. Tatis signed through 2034 with 338 million on his and 13 years left on his deal, which is just absurd to think about. And then Machado signed through 2028. He's kind of like the second fiddle now, yet he's still making 224 million over the next 7 years.
And I would still want him over about 27 third basemen in the league.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think J-Ram and Arenado are maybe the only two that I would say if I have them, I wouldn't bother trading for, or I wouldn't like want to replace them with Machado. But pretty much everyone else.
Yeah. So I think that Machado would be an interesting fit with the Rangers because they had Adrian Beltre for a long time, and he was like their franchise player essentially. And I think the fans loved him and everything. Amazing defender, and that's kind of where I thought of Machado as being a fit because he's a guy that plays really good third base defense and um, a good offense player as well. So he kind of fits as the Beltre replacement.
I like that that idea there a lot, and it's honestly I kind of think that Machado would end up being, or could potentially be, a even bigger name in Rangers history if that were to happen. Because like Beltre didn't come to Texas until he was 32 years old, and then he played 8 seasons in Texas. Machado is only 29 this year. So the potential of him being there 11, 12 years and being a guy who is comped to Adrian Beltre, at least by us. I don't know if he's comped to Adrian Beltre in a lot of other places, but I wouldn't be surprised if he were.
And Machado's interesting. I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that people will realize how good he really was only after he retires. He's getting overshadowed by Tatis. Plus, he plays in a place like San Diego and Baltimore,
and when he was younger, people didn't like his personality.
Yeah, that too.
And so he's kind of got a triple whammy for while playing being underrated. Because last year, I mean, no one really talked about Machado last year, but he slashed 278, 347, 489 for 4.4 WAR and a 122 WRC plus and 28 home runs.
He's doing exactly what he's being paid to do.
Yeah, like this was his best season in I guess maybe the 2020 short season was on pace to be his best season in a Padres uniform, but last year was his the best one yet when it's all said and done. So
settling in nicely for sure.
Yeah, and then I had Machado. So I wanted Machado to go to a team that I think is maybe one piece away from being an absolute dynasty juggernaut type team. I put him on the Chicago White Sox. I have historically liked Yohan Moncada. I'm on record with Gotham as being pro Moncada for a long time. He's not really performing to where people thought he would. He's still good, but he's not performing to his ceiling. Replacing him with Machado, I think could take that team from really, really, really good to fan-freaking-tastically great. So I like Machado on the White Sox.
Nice. It's funny that you say the White Sox because that's actually where I wanted to put his teammate Tatis, and that's the one that was potentially the most likely of any of the ones we're talking about today because Tatis got traded from the White Sox to the Padres for big game James Shields.
In Gotham's personal Hall of Fame.
And all the White Sox fans are saying, like, drat, like, I can't believe he's bringing that up. But that trade looks awful right now. And the reason I put Tatis back on the White Sox is because can you just imagine their middle infield? I don't know who would move to second base or third base or whatever, but Machado and, I mean,
well, you would have to. Yeah, I was going to say you would have to keep Tim Anderson in there somehow.
Yeah, that's the swaggiest middle infield in the league.
Dude,
by far.
put Tatis out in center. He's shown that he can do it somewhat. He drops very easy balls that definitely should be caught.
I mean, he never played outfield before. You got to give him a break.
Well, he dropped it because he was mad. He didn't drop it because he just.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be mad if he was on the White Sox.
That's a good point. No, I really like that fit with Tatis. That one is just more of a how do we fit. It's almost a Dodgers conundrum there. It's how do we fit all of these superstars into one lineup?
You'll figure it out. I mean, Trey Turner's a stud shortstop, and he moved over to second base. There was no problem.
Well, and the White Sox just opened up a spot at second base, didn't they? Trading Nick Madrigal to the Cubs.
They desperately need a second baseman.
So I definitely think Timmy would have the easier time transitioning positions. But I kind of also think that Tim Anderson might be the better defensive shortstop.
They're both really good, though.
They are. And Tatis is getting better and better every year. That was kind of his, when he first came up, like it was how good is he defensively?
That rookie season, he had all those throwing errors and everything.
Yeah. And so that's why I think right now Tim Anderson is the better defensive shortstop. But I do think he would have an easier time transitioning to second than a guy like Tatis as well. For that same reason. I actually put Tatis on an up-and-coming team who has been doing a lot this season or this offseason to improve, and I think will be vying for second in their division this year. And I think with the addition of Tatis, you could be talking about a first-place finish in the American League West. And I, unfortunately, am DFAing J.P. Crawford to bring in Fernando Tatis. I know. I like J.P. Crawford. He's just not Fernando Tatis. To bring Tatis into the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners have a great team right now, and it's looking like it's just going to continue to improve with guys like Emerson Hancock, George Kirby coming up, Julio Rodriguez probably this year at some point. You have young guys like Kelnick, like Evan White, which everyone forgets about, but he was a really, really highly regarded prospect. Started out slow. I think was dealing with injuries last year. So he'll be back this year if he breaks out. And then they got Adam Frazier from the Padres this offseason.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So putting Tatis and Adam Frazier back in a middle infield combo up in Seattle, I think we could be talking about a first place finish in the American League West.
Yeah, it seems like a great fit for such a young and up and coming team. Yeah, okay, so we got two more guys left, Anthony Rendon and Ronald Acuna. So Rendon, we both had a lot of trouble trying to pick out another team for him.
I'm really glad we didn't end on Rendon.
he's really faded kind of off the I don't know what you call it. Like, he's just off the radar right now because he struggled in 2020, struggled again in 2021 with injuries and things like that. He just really hasn't been the player that he was back in 2019 with the Nationals, which is what helped him land that monster contract with the Angels. He's still going to be there in Anaheim through 2026. $156 million still owed to Rendon. Hopefully he gets his career back on track. And I think a place that he could is with the Giants. They've had a lot of success with kind of older players, with Crawford, Longoria, Buster Posey, all those guys having career seasons essentially in 2021. Not Buster, but the other guys. And I don't know, like, they seem to get the most out of even the old guys, and even like part-time guys. Whatever they do has worked in the last few seasons. So I think that's the spot for Rendon to get it going again.
Yeah, I can see that. I do think that brings up some hypothetical roster issues with kind of Longoria being in that same literal position in third base, and then metaphorical position as being kind of the older guy that we're trying to get the most out of. I don't know if you'd try and platoon the two or if you'd move Longoria to do that, but that's why we're in fantasy land.
One of them will be injured. It'll solve itself.
That's a valid point. Longoria will, like, Did he get the concussion or did he like break his knee or something in the
Probably
collision with
both.
Crawford? I can't remember which one was which.
I think
I
it
think
was like
Crawford had
something
the
bad.
concussion, right?
Yeah.
Because he came back like a week later after a typical concussion. So yeah, I don't remember what Longoria's injury was, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I might have been a little mean to Rendon here, but I like not intentionally, but just I'm gonna say the team, and you're gonna think really, but I have a reason. I think Anthony Rendon would be a good fit with the Twins.
Okay.
So I do not think the Twins are nearly as bad as they showed last year. I think the Twins are a lot better team than they played last year. At third base right now, they have Josh Donaldson. Josh Donaldson was over the hill about 5 years ago.
He's good.
I mean, he's still
I'm a
good,
believer.
but he's
He's
not.
good, but he gets injured all the time. That's the problem.
Yeah. And so I think Rendon would be a really good either platoon or replacement there at third base for Donaldson. And then you have guys like Kirilloff and Trevor Larnach and all them coming up. Really, that only leaves the pitching staff is like a really big question for the Twins. Like, granted, there's a lot of other questions there, but I do think he would be a good fit with the Twins, and I think that the Twins are a better team than we saw last year.
Yeah, and with the whole Angels thing, have they ever got any long-term contract right? Like none of these seem to be going well at all. Like
I was going to
even the
say,
Trout contract's really not going so well so far.
yeah.
Like Albert Pujols, obviously not really that great.
How long a deal did Nolan Ryan have with them?
I don't know, man. Was he good with the Angels?
I don't know. I'm looking.
Probably not as good as with Texas and other teams.
Yes, he was really good with the Angels.
Okay.
He had an 8.7 WAR season, 2 or 3 6 WAR seasons, another like 3 or 4 5 WAR seasons with the California Angels. We have a guest. But yeah, so and he was quite good at that point in time. His highest ERA with the Angels was a 3.72. Yeah, so I would argue that's probably their best long-term deal. Their most recent good long-term deal. But yeah. So then
okay. Yeah. Final guy on our list, one of my favorite players, Ronald Acuna Jr. He's recovering from a torn ACL right now. He signed a super team friendly extension a few years back with the Braves. He signed through 26. He's got 83 million left on that deal. Another player that's, top tier guy, fits anywhere, any team really. I'd like to see him on the Nationals playing with Juan Soto. That would just immediately make it doesn't even matter who the third outfielder is. It's the best outfield in the league, right?
Offensively.
Yeah.
It would be not trash defensively.
Acuna is good.
Acuna is
Soto
good.
has improved a lot.
Well, then I guess it depends who the third outfielder is, if it's a good defensive outfield or not. If it's Miles Straw, yeah. If it's like, I don't know, Rowdy Tellez in center, no.
Yeah, that's not going to work out.
But, yeah, that would be really cool. And I actually kind of did mine for the same reason. Granted, I went with a different team. I'm putting Acuna in the only positional spot left in the Blue Jays roster, right field. I'm going to have to either put one of my personal fan favorite guys from years past in Randall Grichuk on the bench or get him off the team. I don't know. But Acuna's taking that right field spot for me. Just think about it. I mean, you've got Vladdy, Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Ronald Acuna. You have Lourdes Gurriel, Teoscar Hernandez, Alejandro Kirk,
George Springer.
And then oh shoot, who would be the ninth guy in the lineup?
What position did we miss?
I don't know. I named
Oh, they don't
third
have a
base.
third baseman. Yeah,
Yeah, and insert third baseman here. That would be a fantastically fun team to watch.
that would be so much fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were already fun without Acuna. With him, wow.
Yeah, I think that would easily be probably like the national favorite team in baseball.
Yeah,
And
and they're
they're
not
the
even
one
from this
team that's
country.
not even from this nation.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, hopefully we got you thinking about some things that you wouldn't have normally thought about because it definitely did for me. Probably none of these things are ever going to happen because these guys are signed for so long.
Yeah, there's like maybe one or two. I think if we would have put Antonio Senzatela on a team, that might be the only one that would possibly happen.
Yeah. Yep. We
Yeah,
did not
so
send anyone to Kansas City, and so everyone should. So all these guys should thank us for that.
well, I don't know. Kansas City might be good. I said that last year too, but like Bobby Witt's coming up.
That is right.
So I think that puts Adalberto as a DH. So but yeah, so
Okay.
let us
Yeah.
know where you would put each of these players. I'm really curious to see because this is such a absolute ludicrous concept. So you could put any of these guys on any team and justify it pretty easily. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. So tweet at us or Facebook, post on our Facebook page at Getaway Day Pod, and let us know your thoughts.
All right, that's going to wrap up for today. We'll be back next Wednesday, uh, potentially with something fun like a game. So we'll see you
Yeah.
next week.
Yep. Have a good one.